Strange how the evening light changes everything, he thought, watching shadows stretch across the empty street. His head felt clearer now, though that familiar doubt lingered at the edges. Perhaps it was just fatigue, or perhaps, but no, better not to pursue that line of thinking. When a spouse dies, they take with them not just their physical presence, but pieces of your shared world, routines, inside jokes, future plans. The loss creates a vacuum that grief, paperwork, and well-meaning advice rush to fill. But in this storm of emotion and obligation, what should you actually do first? Not what the funeral director suggests or what your adult children think is best, but what truly helps you survive this profound transition. I've spent years working with widowed seniors, and I've discovered there are 6 essential steps that make the difference between merely existing and eventually finding your way back to living. The last one might surprise you. It's rarely discussed but often determines whether someone stays trapped in grief or finds a meaningful path forward. Let's explore these lifelines one by one. Step 1. Allow yourself to feel before you try to fix anything. Our society treats grief like a problem to solve, encouraging the bereaved to stay busy, push through, handle arrangements. But grief isn't a task, it's a profound experience that requires acknowledgement. Before making calls or sorting belongings, give yourself permission to simply feel the weight of your loss. Martha, 79, lost her husband of 54 years and immediately threw herself into clearing out his workshop. I thought being productive would help, she told me, but I was just postponing the inevitable. 3 months later, I collapsed in tears while holding his favorite sweater. I hadn't given myself time to actually grieve. When she finally allowed herself to feel the loss, really feel it, something shifted. The pain didn't disappear, but it became something she could carry, rather than something controlling her. True strength isn't found in stoicism or forced composure. It emerges when we honestly face our emotions, rather than burying them. Tears aren't weakness, they're evidence of love. Confusion isn't failure, it's a natural response to having your world upended. By acknowledging these feelings, you create space for genuine healing to begin, setting a foundation for everything that follows. Step 2. Combat isolation before it takes root. Within days of a funeral, a strange phenomenon occurs. The flurry of visitors slows, the phone stops ringing as often, and the casseroles stop appearing at your doorstep. Just when the reality of your loss begins to deepen, support often diminishes, leaving a dangerous vacuum where isolation can flourish. Research shows that social disconnection after spousal loss significantly increases health risks for seniors. It impacts everything from cognitive function to immune response to health. This isn't just emotional comfort, it's medical necessity. Consider Robert, 82, whose wife died after a month of this. He thought I wanted to be alone with grief. He explained, calls go to voicemail. I declined invitations. Within weeks, I was barely getting out of bed. A concerned neighbor finally intervened, urging Robert to join her for coffee. That said interaction brought a dangerous pattern. I realized I was disappearing, not just grieving, he said. The solution isn't complicated, but requires intention. Make one meaningful connection daily. It could be a short phone call, a walk with a neighbor, or even attending a community event. You don't need to discuss your loss if you're not ready. What matters is maintaining human connection when your instinct might be to withdraw. Many communities offer widow support groups, senior centers with grief resources, or volunteer companions specifically trained to support those experiencing loss. Reaching out isn't admitting weakness, it's recognizing that humans aren't designed to process profound grief in isolation. Step 3. Organize critical documents with compassionate efficiency. While paperwork seems trivial compared to emotional pain, neglecting financial and legal matters after a spouse's death can create serious complications. Bills continue arriving, accounts need transferring, benefits require claiming, all while you're operating with decreased cognitive capacity due to grief. Joseph, 75, delayed dealing with his wife's life insurance policy, assuming it could wait until he felt stronger. By the time he located the documents in an unexpected location, he had depleted significant savings covering expenses the policy would have addressed. I thought I was giving myself space to grieve, he reflected, but I was actually creating more problems. This doesn't mean tackling everything immediately or alone. Consider creating a simple 3-column list. urgent matters, bills, immediate financial concerns, important but not urgent property transfers, and everything else changing names on accounts. Then enlist help, a trusted family member, friend, or financial advisor who can sit with you, help organize documents, and ensure critical deadlines aren't missed. Create a central location, a folder, box, or digital file containing copies of essential information, death certificates, account numbers, passwords, insurance policies, property deeds, military records, and contact information for important people. This organization isn't cold practicality, it's protection for yourself and honoring your spouse's legacy by ensuring their affairs are handled with care. Step 4. Protect your physical health with deliberate self-care. Grief doesn't just hurt emotionally, it manifests physically. Many widowed seniors experience disrupted sleep, appetite changes, weakened immunity, and exacerbation of existing health conditions. Your body is processing trauma, and like any healing process, it requires intentional support. Margaret, 84, stopped taking her heart medication after her husband's death. "I simply forgot," she explained. "My routines were gone, and taking care of myself felt pointless." A fainting spell at the grocery store led to hospitalization, a secondary crisis that complicated her mourning process. After that, her daughter helped her create a simple health checklist: medications, water intake, basic nutrition, and movement. You don't need elaborate self-care routines. Focus on fundamentals, eat something nutritious at regular intervals even when you aren't hungry. Move your body gently, even just stretching or walking to the mailbox. Maintain sleep hygiene by keeping consistent bedtimes. Take medications as prescribed. And most importantly, continue regular medical appointments, as grief can mask or exacerbate health concerns. There's wisdom in the grief counselor's advice. When you don't know what to do, care for the animal in you. This means addressing basic physical needs even when emotions make them seem irrelevant. Your body is working overtime to process loss. Give it the foundation it needs to support you through this journey. Step 5. Resist making major life changes during acute grief. In the disorienting aftermath of losing a spouse, many people make sweeping decisions in an attempt to outrun pain or create a sense of control. They sell homes, relocate cities, discard belongings, or make significant financial changes, often before grief's fog has cleared enough for clear thinking. David, 76, sold his family home within weeks of his wife's passing, believing proximity to his son would ease his loneliness. 6 months later, he deeply regretted this decision. "I lost my wife, and then I lost our home, our neighbors, my routines, everything familiar. I was grieving double losses," he explained. What felt like a solution became another source of pain. Grief experts consistently recommend waiting at least 12 months before making any major life decisions that aren't absolutely necessary. This isn't about staying stuck or refusing to move forward. It's about ensuring decisions come from clarity rather than pain. Your judgment, priorities, and emotional needs will shift as grief evolves. What feels unbearable in month 1 might become comforting by month 9. If you're feeling pressured by others to move on or get things settled, practice this simple response: "I'm giving myself time to think clearly before making decisions." If a choice genuinely cannot wait, involve a trusted advisor who isn't emotionally invested in the situation, someone who can help you consider long-term implications when your focus may naturally be on immediate emotional relief. Step 6. Begin the quiet work of rediscovering your identity. Here's the step many grief resources overlook, yet it's often the difference between those who merely survive loss and those who eventually thrive again. When a long-term spouse dies, you lose more than a partner. You lose the version of yourself that existed in that relationship. The identity transition from we to I is profound and requires intentional attention. For decades, your routines, decisions, and even sense of purpose may have been deeply intertwined with your partner. Their absence creates not just loneliness, but an identity vacuum. Who are you now? What matters to you as an individual? What brings you purpose? These questions feel impossible early in grief, but become increasingly important as months pass. Consider Eleanor, 80, who lost her husband after 58 years of marriage. "At first, I maintained everything exactly as it was when he was alive. His reading chair untouched, his favorite foods in the pantry. I couldn't imagine being anyone but his wife." Gradually, though, Eleanor began reconnecting with her love of classical music, something her husband hadn't shared. I joined a listening group at the library. It felt almost rebellious at first, like I was betraying our life together. But then I realized he would want me to find joy again, even if it looked different than before. This isn't about replacing your spouse or moving on from grief. It's about the gentle recognition that while part of you will always be connected to them, another part needs to learn to exist independently. Small explorations help revisiting old interests, trying new activities, forming new connections, or simply rearranging your living space to reflect your current needs. Your grief never fully disappears. It becomes integrated into a new version of yourself. This integration happens naturally over time, but acknowledging it as a necessary process can ease the guilt that often accompanies personal growth after loss. When your spouse dies, the world doesn't just lose their unique presence, it risks losing yours too if grief becomes your only identity. The most profound way to honor their memory is to eventually build a life that carries forward their love while allowing space for your continued growth. These 6 steps, feeling before fixing, reaching out early, organizing documents, protecting your health, avoiding rush decisions, and rebuilding identity, aren't a formula that eliminates pain. They're anchors that help you weather grief's storm without drowning in it. You don't need to implement them perfectly or linearly. What matters is approaching them with self-compassion and patience. Remember this above all, grief's magnitude reflects love's magnitude. Its presence in your life isn't weakness or failure, it's evidence of connection. And while that connection has changed form, it remains part of your story. You're not just surviving loss, you're learning to carry it in ways that eventually allow space for new chapters you can't yet imagine. The path forward isn't about leaving your spouse behind, it's about bringing their love with you into a future that, while different than planned, still holds possibilities for meaning, connection, and even joy. This journey belongs uniquely to you. There is no right way through grief except the way that honors both who you were together and who you are becoming now.